Chapter 4 Empathic Trust Issues. Dower stood next to Waynon at the base of the stairs to the third floor, vigorously shaking his hands both from excitement and the minor pain he still felt in them. New students were lined up behind them, as only 2 were brought up at a time. All of them were wearing new white outfits with insignias sewn onto the shoulders that indicated Emogic type.
"You okay?"
Waynon asked. Nodding quickly, Dower hopped in place a few times.
"Yeah, me too."
Dane came down the stairs and focused his attention on them. "All right, you 2, let's go meet your Emogic instructors." He turned to Dower and signed, "No funny business."
"Cross my eyes,"
Dower signed, doing just that after Dane turned back up the stairs. The brawny guards gave him disapproving looks, which he returned with an innocent smile as he made his way up the stairs with Waynon. At a certain point, it felt like an invisible blanket had been unwrapped from around his body. He could finally channel. "Waynon, you'll be training with Mrs. Turson in room 317, Dane said. "It's just right down that hall on the left."
Waynon took a deep breath. "Okay. Wish me luck, Dower."
"Good luck," Dower channeled, using the voice of another boy from the orphanage. Waynon gave a start and looked at him wide-eyed. Dower winked and motioned for him to go. "Don't be nervous now," Dane said. "She'll take good care of you. Go on, you don't want to be late. As for you, Dower, you'll be in room 348. This way, it's a bit of a walk. You're our only boredom Emogician, so you'll be training with one of our empaths, Miss Klausgau. It'll be strictly one-on-one, so you had better be on your best behavior."
"One-on-one,"
Dower thought as Dane led him down a few different halls. He had expected it to be in a full classroom like with everything else he was learning at the academy.
"Why one-on-one?"
he channeled to Dane. Dane missed a step and turned back to him. "Did you just speak?" Dower rolled his eyes.
"No, you just heard me. Why one-on-one?"
With a moment of hesitation, Dane replied, "Because it was requested. Are you channeling?"
"Yes. Requested by who?"
"By Miss Klausgau. And you better stop that before you're properly trained. Being a mind intruder can be dangerous if you don't know what you're doing."
"Fine,"
Dower signed, despite knowing what he was doing.
"Why did she request that?"
"You'll have to ask her. The room is just up here." Dane led him to a door and opened it, motioning for him to enter. The room inside was just like any other classroom, except all the desks were moved to the back. No one was inside. Dower looked back at Dane questioningly. "She may be running late," he said. "It's typical of her. Don't worry, she'll be here. Best of luck." Dane closed the door and signed through the small window, "Remember, behave," before disappearing. Dower took a deep breath and let it out through his teeth. That man was aggravating to be around. Being a puffer probably had something to do with it.
"Why is pride even an emojic?"
he thought, going to a chair against the back wall. Shortly after sitting down, the door burst open to let in the most unpleasant sight Dower could have imagined.
"Good morning, my little alien student," the girl from yesterday said. "I hope you rested well last night. We have a lot to do today, so how about you show me what you got? Come on, channel at me."
Dower was in the process of pulling his emojic out to ask her what on earth she was doing in here, but in a panicked realization he cut himself off.
"She's the empath!" a voice screamed in his head. "What's the matter? Don't be shy. I'm curious how boredom tastes." "She is the empath,"
Dower thought. He stared at her, every muscle stiff, and wondered how he could escape. The first problem was that she was bigger than him. The second problem was she'd know if he'd try to channel at her. Could he channel to make his channeling disappear from her perspective? He didn't know. If her class level was low enough, it might be possible, but could he take that risk? Instead of channeling or running, he signed,
"Do you know signs?" "You are deaf? Were you... you have no idea what I'm saying. You only nodded your head yesterday to make me leave, didn't you? I can't believe this."
Dower groaned, pointing to his ears and nodding, then to his mouth and shaking his head.
"You're joking. Tell me you're joking." "I can't speak, witch,"
Dower channeled as quickly as he could, though he wondered if he had used the right word. It seemed he had, as the girl looked too shocked to react.
Oh, wow. Okay, first of all, I'm an empath, not a witch. Second of all, then continue to use your emojic. You spoke with it just now, so clearly you have some understanding of how to use it.
Dower vigorously shook his head. There's no way he was letting this girl use his emojic. The Academy could find someone else to teach him. The girl sniffed.
Fine, have it your way. Wait right here a moment.
She walked out of the classroom and slammed the door behind her. Dower wasted no time in jumping from his chair and finding a spot to hide near the door, which happened to be behind the teacher's desk. How soon would she return? There had to be a window of time in which he could safely leave. After a minute passed, he got up and went to the door, creaking it open just enough to pop his head out. A tower of a man was standing right there, one of the brawny men who always guarded the stairs to the third floor, an unamused expression on his face. Dower blinked at him and slowly pulled back into the room and gently closed the door, then dashed back behind the teacher's desk before the door opened again. "All right, lad, you've had your fun," the man said with a northern accent. "Come on out. I don't want to have to hurt you." Dower wondered where the girl was. If the man was alone, perhaps channeling at him could ensure escape. Maybe the man didn't even know the girl, and his being here was just happenstance. He could only hear one set of footsteps walking the room. A voice whispered right next to him.
Why are you hiding?
For a single moment, the teacher's desk seemed like the most insubstantial thing in the world, so it came as a complete surprise when Dower smashed right into it and rebounded onto his backside. The ceiling would not stop moving.
Ouch, the girl said. This is him, Donnan.
Donnan's head hovered into view, looking concerned, and the girl's head came up on the opposite side. Dower raised his arms and tried to sign,
I can't speak.
Though the way he felt his fingers move, it probably wasn't anything more than gibberish. He let out a groan. "I'll get Claire," Donnan sighed. He disappeared while the girl stayed and stared at Dower. He tried to return the look with some contempt, though his facial expression was apparently limited to that of pain. His head was starting to throb. The girl clicked her tongue.
What am I going to do with you? Look, kid, I need you to channel. I can't help you if you refuse. And you could at least be a little bit more courteous. This isn't Arconia. I also hope you realize I can have you sent to the headmaster.
Dower cringed. He had heard about what happened to people who were sent to the headmaster of the academy. Endless chore assignments and sermons on proper behavior. Such horrible, horrible things. If there was a time for him to stop being stubborn and rebellious, it was probably now.
Fine, Dower channeled with some effort. I'm channeling. Happy? All-you-can-eat buffet of boredom.
He kept the flow of Emogic coming out, but directed it at the air around him. It was then sucked into her and channeled right back at him in what appeared to be a flood of Emogic. He felt nothing but sudden dread.
Oh.
Oh? Elitha's thought appeared in his mind like it was his own.
What class are you? Dower thought back. Class 3.9.
Dower instantly stopped channeling, cutting her off.
Snakes, he thought,
his whole body somehow becoming even more tense.
Snakes, snakes, snakes! That's practically class 4. Does she know everything about me now? I'm so Your name's Dower Mawkin? The girl asked. Really? You got a problem with that? Dower signed.
She began to laugh uncontrollably. He tried to scoot away from the alien. The door opened, letting in Donnan, followed by a slender middle-aged woman. What's so funny? Donnan asked.
The girl wheezed. He's so... Heaven help me.
Donnan moved her aside and motioned to the woman, Claire, to attend to Dower. She came over and knelt by his side.
I see. Just a minor concussion and some bruises on the hands, Claire said. Not to worry. Have you been healed before?
Dower shook his head.
Okay, just relax and lie as still as you can. You'll feel a warm, tingling sensation.
Claire appeared to focus on something beyond Dower, as though seeing through him. Heat entered his head and hands, though not the unpleasant type. It was more like a blanket, hung in the sunlight for a day, being wrapped around him on a cold evening. Then it became a strange, sizzling sensation, feeling as if his skin had become water just on the verge of boiling. The feeling went from pleasant to the most bizarre thing Dower had ever felt, but after a minute or so, all the pain in his head and hands was gone. A faint tingling remained. "How does that feel?" Claire asked. Dower sat up and signed.
Weird.
"He says weird," the girl said, struggling to suppress a grin. Dower blinked at her. Of course, she understood his signs now. "Oh, he's a mute?" Claire asked. "I wish that were something that could be healed. Perhaps there's a class level high enough where it could be healed, but there hasn't been a healer or an empath higher than 3.7 in centuries. Well, at least your head and hand should feel better." Dower nodded and smiled gratefully to her before she said her goodbyes and left.
None higher than 3.7?
He thought, staring at the girl. "No," Donnan said. "Why were you laughing as if Elysium herself had possessed ye?"
It's nothing, the girl said. I maybe just delved too deep into his mind. He channeled while you were away. You're free to go.
Donnan gave her a skeptical look. "If you say so. Does that mean you have an answer for Garrus?"
Yes, the answer is yes. For both.
The big man gave a long sigh. "So be it. Best of luck to you, lad. Don't let her bite you too hard."
Hey, I don't bite.
He strode out with a snort, leaving Dower staring at the girl.
What? She asked. I can't communicate telepathically unless you're channeling, so if you have something to say, do that or use your hands. You still haven't told me your name, Dower signed. I'm Elitha Klasgow, your Emogic instructor for the foreseeable future. It seems you've already got lessons 1 through 3 down, so congrats on being at the head of the class.
She gave a brief round of applause. Elitha, a common name. Dower thought it didn't fit her face, but he couldn't put words to why.
Do I have the rest of the day off, then? He signed. Not quite. We can just skip to lesson 4. If you would channel again, please.
Dower stared at her, unmoving from his position on the floor. What was it about her face? And then there was something to do with what she said to the big man.
Answer for what? He signed. Who is Garrus? My uncle. He runs security here at the academy. He was just wanting me to confirm yours and someone else's Emogic in class for his records. Could you please channel now?
That did not explain Donnan's unusually somber response. Not to mention, the Academy already should have known his Emogic in class. And then there was Claire seemingly not knowing Elitha was a Class 3.9 empath. Was she keeping how powerful she was a secret? What else was she hiding? Finally it dawned on him why he thought her name didn't fit her face. Elithas were supposed to be trustworthy, and she had a face too pretty to trust, which was all the more evident from what she was obviously hiding. Only trouble could follow a face like that, and Dower wanted nothing to do with it. If only he was a Class 2.5, he could channel and search her mind for the truth. Class 2.4 and below were limited to conscious thoughts and subconscious images when using telepathy. With little else to do, and more regret than he had ever felt before, Dower began to channel again.